Hello, my name is Brian Dotson. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Telguard. Today I wanted to overview a recent product that we just started selling through distribution called the VIRALERT 3. This is a thermal imaging camera. I feel like it's pretty relevant to what's happening in the world today, and hopefully by the end of the presentation, everyone that views this will see some additional business opportunities to explore with their customers with this product. And so with that, let's get into the PowerPoint itself. Great. So the VIRALERT 3, we just launched just over a month ago with a sister company called Amatec Land. Of course, Telguard, Amatec Land, all under the Amatec umbrella. And, we have some other video solutions that we offer our dealer base with Arlo, with VideoFi, but the VIRALERT 3 was kind of a step in a new direction for us. Just some quick background on Amatec Land. They've been around since 1947, based out of the UK. Of course, the VIRALERT 3 is also manufactured in the UK. Amatec Land does over 1,000 systems, offering 1,000 different camera systems globally. Of course, Telguard, we only focus in the US and Canada in terms of our product. So, the COVID-19 pandemic that we're currently dealing with isn't the first outbreak that Amatec Land has seen during their time manufacturing. Back in 2002, of course, there was the SARS outbreak where Amatec Land eventually started pioneering human body temperature measurement systems during that time. Also around the same time, they patented in-scene calibration that seems like it has made its way into the VIRALERT 3 that we'll be talking about today. So of course, COVID-19 has presented a lot of challenges for businesses and the economy as a whole. So as everyone's trying to get back to some sort of normal life, normal routine, businesses want to reopen. They want to welcome their customers and employees back in a safe way. Things have to be in place to kind of, excuse me, give that sense of comfort to customers and employees. Two big things that are kind of mentioned time and time again in the news and various health reports: social distancing and being contact-free, minimizing the amount of touch or contact that you had with somebody or an object, etc. So, keeping those things in mind, the VIRALERT 3, as we'll kind of see later on in the presentation, addresses that need. And in addition to those things, you also see temperature screening coming into play. Of course, temperature screening can not only recognize someone that may be, infected with COVID-19, but also, other types of sickness, flu, colds, etc. Things that would elevate the body temperature. So, keeping all of these things in play, distancing, being contact-free, temperature screening, I think is going to give everyone that sense of comfort, to come into a business or come back to work and know that at least some precautions have been taken to try to keep out, people that have possibly been contaminated with this illness. So we see this solution kind of fitting into a couple different markets. Of course, healthcare, commercial, offices, manufacturing, school systems, transportation, and then, of course, where applicable, sports arenas and complexes. So before we get too deep on the VIRALERT 3 itself, I wanted to take a look at a couple alternative options. So everything on the screen right now, I think the big obvious point is they fit a certain budget. These solutions are probably going to be on more of the lower end of a budget, for someone. But with that positive, there also comes some cons. So when we're talking about handheld devices, right, we're going really against that one of the terms that we were just talking about, being contact-free. So now you have a device, whether it's being used to self-measure at a business or at our office, or someone else is using that device, someone's touching it, someone has made contact with it or has to make contact with it in order to measure a temperature. And then in the situation where someone is actually being dedicated to monitor incoming customers and employees, now you're taking and putting that person within close proximity, right? So we're not maintaining a certain amount of social distance there in that scenario. And then you're also taking someone away from potentially the job that they're normally doing to have them focus on monitoring and measuring people's temperatures as they come into the building. So the cons there, I think, outweigh the pros. And then, of course, the other aspect you have to kind of keep in mind with the thermal imagers specifically is without the real-time calibration, to compare to, those results sometimes can be inaccurate. So, we have kind of three cons in play here on these particular kinds of devices. So the VIRALERT 3 is the first system on the market that provides camera and temperature controlled reference source on a single mounting. So the takeaway there for people that aren't kind of familiar with the camera world is it's just very easy to set up. It's a straight out of the box setup solution. So there's no referencing and calibrating. Everything is already together and mounted on a single rail. And the key, the important aspect for the temperature controlled reference source, what's also known as a black body, is that, that is what's going to be critical in ensuring that you're getting an accurate and repeatable source for the camera. So very small footprint. We're saying, a foot long, from black body in the background to the camera in the foreground on that rail. The software that's included with this particular system, not complex at all, very simplistic and easy to navigate. And then one mounting is all that's required to set this camera up, either in an entrance of a building or on a table. And we'll look at some of those mounting options in a later slide. So some key aspects on the hardware side. This is NDAA compliant because it is made in the UK. It has that integrated black body, which allows for a very quick physical setup, especially for people that have no camera background or camera training. You don't need it with this solution. Everything's already good to go out of the box, outside of plugging in a couple cords. This can be used for either a temporary setup or permanent setup, just depending on the needs of the business. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have some mounting options that we're selling through distribution just to accommodate those different types of setups, whether you want it on the ceiling or the wall, tied to a desk or a table, or just as a standalone on a tripod. So let's kind of look at the software side of this solution. As I mentioned, very, very simple and easy to operate solution. So the three kind of things I wanted to go over that I pulled out of the software when I was doing my research is the face detection accuracy. So, this solution looks for a face shape. It's not looking for, what's the hottest thing in the picture. And with that being said, someone could walk up with a hot beverage or soup or, something with just some heat coming off of it. The camera is ignoring that. The camera is looking for the face in order to take the temperature reading from. Privacy, obviously on the tops of everyone's mind today, so it's not using facial recognition. It's just using facial detection to know where to take that temperature from. The logs that are generated as part of this process are stored locally on the laptop or computer that the software and camera are tied to. And, those can be wiped periodically throughout the day, at the end of the day, or, maintained for a certain amount of time, just depending on the needs of the business. And quick and simple, who doesn't like quick and simple when it comes to the software? So green for go, red for alert, and then readings take less than 2 seconds. So as kind of mentioned, the color schemes, I think you can kind of relay that to a customer, a potential opportunity that could use one of these as a simple traffic light interface. So, whoever is tasked to operate this, if it's not being operated, by the employees themselves as they come in self-assessment, the person itself, they see a green They know it's good. They see a red, they know it's bad, and then just kind of make their decisions from that point. The other nice aspect about the software is it is customizable. So you can customize the message that pops up on the screen based on the results of the temperature read, or you could change the language to support different aspects there as well. So just some general pictures to kind of give you a feel. Of course, in this picture, it's just analyzing and determining the temperature of the person that's in frame, and then of course red alert person hit outside of the threshold that the operator set for this particular application, or the temperature was within that threshold. They get a green, pass, thank you, have a good day. In terms of install, 5 easy steps. That's all we're talking about. So connecting the camera to the provided cable that comes with the VIRALERT 3, connecting the cable to the laptop or computer that you're using the software on, connecting the black body to a power adapter. So the back black body will need a power source in order to properly function, setting up the Ethernet connection on the laptop or computer, and then installing the software. So to kind of hammer this point home, very, very easy to use. So ideally, this is kind of what we want to see the setup look like, or we think kind of a perfect setup would look like. You have, again, contact-free. You're not tying up any additional resources in the way of someone actually monitoring it. You would just let the customers and employees know that this is the station they're going to stop. They're going to keep distance, from each other. And then, of course, you're going to have markings on the floor of where they need to stand in terms of the camera reading them, and then, of course, the people behind them. So it's going to use a rapid test procedure. So, this we're saying basically a 2-second analyzing the person that's in frame. This means up to 30 people per minute. So when we're talking about a scenario that involves some volume, just keep that spec in mind, in that way that the end user, the customer that's actually using this solution, knows that there's not going to be significant delay as people may start bottlenecking or queuing up, to get into their business or store or what have you. There is some customizable text. Obviously, we've mentioned that, that can pop up on screen in terms of the visuals, but then also there's audible alarms that you can set up as well. And then, the logs themselves, those can be used for a number of different things, whether it's just, for liability's sake, historical analysis, and then, of course, we are making sure that the user's privacy is safeguarded. So here's just a quick little video to show it in real time what that process would look like. Employees coming into work, they need to get screened before they can come in, make sure everything's good there. Moving on to the next person that was behind them, pulls down the mask, gets in frame, green means go. So they're all set. So there was 2 people and basically 4 or 5 seconds. I mentioned the logs a couple different times, so here's just kind of an image of what that looks like. Just very basic general information, date, time, temperature, was the temperature within the threshold set by the user, and then in the top right corner of the slide, you can see the images that are stored along with a general text log of that same information, right? Date, time, the temp, and then what was the temp read on that particular individual. So as I've kind of gotten out and went to different businesses, most of the time it involves getting someone with a handheld temperature reader, getting close to me, well within the 6 feet. Once they see I've got a good temp, they'll give me a sticker or something to kind of put on my body. And here I think EMETEK LAN has come up with a pretty good side option or accessory to kind of use with this solution, printer, a label printer that can just be set up either on the table that spits out, something that someone can put on their, their uniform or shirt or what have you, just to let everyone else know, yes, they've been screened, yes, they, it was good, and they should be in the building. So I think that's a nice little add-on to the end user cell for everyone to keep in mind. An advanced feature, just to kind of mention, it has an I/O manager, optional I/O manager that can be purchased. connect to external alarms. So I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail here, but I think this is just a way to kind of expand upon, the simple solution, right? If you need some extra features added in, this would be a good route to go. Just some general specs, throw those up on the screen for all that's interested. Of course, this is going to be on the data sheet and brochures that's on our website. The one thing I do want to point out on this particular slide is the software requirement. So the i3 processor has basically been a processor that's been around for about 10 years. I would say, at this point, it's probably, on the low end side of processors. So anybody that's purchased a computer in the past 10 years probably has this type of processor, if not better. So just know that the software requirements aren't going to be too heavy. So again, if you have the end user has a computer or laptop, within that time frame, right, 10 years or newer, more than likely the software is going to run on that system. Of course, the other important thing is that it's a Windows 10, based OS. So I did mention we have a separate site on Telguard.com for the VIRALERT. So make sure to visit that. We have all the additional brochures, some other videos, printable signage, for the dealers and end users, and setup and user guides. Now, I did want to point out the image here on the far right on the slide. This is something that I brought up with marketing that we could take and we could digitally brand for installers or end users, just depending on what the need was. But, just imagine in place of where the Telguard Land Amatec logo is, you could have, your company's logo or the end user's brand on there as well, just to, of course, give everybody a more comfortable aspect to all this material. So I would say, yeah, definitely go and check out the website. I'm sure as I've went over this presentation, I've missed some specs or steps that the website will definitely fill in for me. So definitely advocate that. And with that, I think that pretty much wraps everything up. I'm going to leave my contact information on the screen for everyone to either pause and jot down or just jot it down. And I'm going to go ahead and admit I'm not the strongest product expert when it comes to this solution, but I do welcome all conversations of opportunities or additional questions. Of course, if I don't know something, I'll find someone that's smarter than me that does know, and we'll go from there. So with all that, I want to thank everybody for their time and viewing the video. Stay safe out there, and let me know how I can help. Thanks so much. Take care.